Happy Easter, happy Passover, happy holidays, everybody. It is Watch D.A. Live, and a very special edition, as it were. Of course, I appreciate everybody that might be taking time away from the family or just generally spending time around the house on the holiday or whatever that you were doing today for joining it with me. Tonight, no Aiden Hatton, the Marquette Marvel. He's with his family for Easter, and so I'm running this show solo. So bear with me. This is where you're going to get a very intimate look at Watch D.A. Live. I'm not going to do it as smoothly, as seamlessly as it usually is when Aiden is pulling the controls and pushing all those buttons and pulling all those big old levers. Instead, I'll be hunting and pecking for the things that I want to play. But fear not, I'm here for you. And today we'll go over the NBA playoffs. We'll also go over a couple of nuggets and news and notes about our big event, Bob's Bar. Okay, so stick around for that. Very excited about that. And as always, we love to bring you a few goodies courtesy of Last Dive Bar by reading through all of your comments. And so keep the comments flowing tonight because it's going to be a lot of me and you tonight. Without the Marquette Marvel in the house, it's basically me, you, and the comment section. Let's do it, and let's get real comfortable, shall we? We're going to have Conor Rodgers join us from NBC Sports, NFL draft analyst, coming up here in just a few moments, okay? So that should be a lot of fun. As I said, I've got some thoughts on just about everything, including Aaron Rodgers, because this week, just more of the nonsense from Aaron. If we can hit this beautiful slide, I can get cooking. Hey, it worked. Aaron Rodgers, okay, and this bit that he's doing, the act that Aaron Rodgers is pushing out there for the general public is so worn thin that it can be exhausting. But it also is so informative because it's so transparent. And you really, really, really get to understand what's at the core of Aaron Rodgers. You know, a couple of months ago now, I was at the Ed Block Courage Awards in Baltimore. And there were so many tremendous people around the NFL that work in the NFL, that had played in the NFL, that were currently playing in the NFL. So I got to talk to a lot of people. And one of the things that I've gathered over the last couple of years doing it, when I've asked about teams, players, news, stuff like that, the people that had worked with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay would tell you, behind the scenes, mano a mano, he treated people really well. But when he got in front of the camera is when he changed. If you were just with him one-on-one, like his teammates, he could be a really good guy. But once he knew people were watching is when he performed, okay? And that's exactly what happened this week when he went on Pat McAfee's show and explained in his framing what happened with Aaron Glenn and that meeting with the Jets. It was so informative that, first of all, he decided before the Jets, without the Jets, explaining what happened, leaking what happened, etc., that he had to set the record straight, as though anybody in April was clamoring to know how the meeting went between him and the New York Jets. It is so old news at this point in time, and Rodgers could have easily just said all the natural plaudits that happen when something like this takes place. Hey, it was a short meeting. It was a good meeting. I respected my time in New York. I wish them the best. I'm excited for the next chapter of my career, wherever that might be. It's the easiest thing to do. But what did Rodgers choose instead? He chose vengeance. He chose, I'm going to make them look small. I'm going to be the aggrieved party. Can you believe I flew out there on my own dime and they didn't even have the courtesy to give me more than a couple of minutes? That they shooed me out the door. Don't I deserve more respect than that? That's how he framed it. Without the Jets having done anything, without the Jets talking about it, sending out anything besides a press release, this was how Rodgers had to get back at the Jets. And it said so much that in a performative sense, Rodgers needed some type of vengeance or some type of, I don't know, he needed everybody to see them as the villain or the enemy. And when people do that, it really shows you how small they are from a character standpoint. Because the bigger person, the higher road is simply to say, had a great meeting, wish them the best. But instead, he took the low road. He took the let me blast away on these guys. And I don't know if Aaron Glenn's going to be a good coach, a bad coach, somewhere in between. But I do know that if you're Rodgers, what's the win here? Did he think that he was embarrassed because the Jets released him or moved on? That he needed to prop himself up? People that do this lack confidence. They lack the internal confidence. And so thus, they puff out their chest and say, that person's wrong. That person did me wrong. I deserve more. It's narcissism, and it's a real small character. It's very lowbrow. And so for Rodgers, who plays the intellect, there's a reason he has to keep reminding people of this. It's because he's very much a phony. He's very much a phony. This kind of brash, I'll tell you exactly how it is, I'll embarrass you, I'll shoot you straight. That is not who he is behind the scenes. And they always say, when the cameras are off and nobody's watching, that's who you really are. And so, hey, it's better that he's a phony on camera of being the tough guy versus behind the scenes, you'd rather have him be a good guy. And so I think mostly he's probably a good guy, which is why this part of it is so problematic and really sad. And I know there's a diminishing amount of Rodgers defenders out there. I hope he keeps doing things like this so that we truly see him for who he is, which is a very small individual when it comes to public perception. He needs other people to be embarrassed. He needs other people to feel small so that he can feel big. And the fact that he did this week was, to me, the cherry on top, because I've been blowing the bullhorn about what bull crap he spews constantly, and that's not really who he is. And that all of these things that he does and says is nothing that we would ever take as a leadership quality for anybody else. But because he slings a pretty football, because he keeps talking a great game, people kind of give him a pass. And I don't think he deserves a pass anymore. I don't think Aaron Rodgers deserves the pass. What he did this week, unprompted, unnecessarily, shows a very small person. And good for the Jets. My goodness, after the way that they just lapdogged him when he came, finally somebody with a backbone in there going, yeah, we're not going to play this game anymore. And I think that how he treats his teammates and how he treats personnel people behind the scenes, staffers, etc., might be largely good. But it comes to people in power, people that really can control him, coaches, executives, GMs, is when he craps all over them. And he tries to manipulate and tries to embarrass and tries to shame and tries to stiff arm. And again, those are all characteristics of a very small person. All right, on to the NFL, the bright spot. And that is the NFL draft. And all these guys that are going to be drafted on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, an exciting moment in their lives, an exciting moment for all of us to see where the dominoes fall. And I had a chance this week to catch up with Conor Rodgers, NBC Sports draft analyst. He's excellent. He's done a number of really interesting mock drafts, but he's also just a very, I think, straight shooter. I think when you hear Conor speak, you know it's not BS. He's not trying to blow up, a Twitter feed or social media by creating controversial opinions or big swings. He's a very, I think, down the road, reasonable guy, which I like. And he does a lot of good player comps. So during the conversation, we're going to do a lot of player comps for rookies coming into this NFL draft. So let's do that right about now. The great Conor Rodgers from NBC Sports is going to join us right now. All right, let's get it. Let's get it going. And a round of applause for Mr. Conor Rodgers as we will get this thing going. As I mentioned before, I had a chance to catch up with him earlier this week. And we are now just days away from the NFL. His mock drafts have been fascinating. And I think that this is a draft with a lot of intrigue because once we get beyond one, there's major question marks. Joining us here on the show is draft analyst for NBC Sports, Conor Rodgers. Conor, how we doing?
I'm good, DA. It's the most insane time of the year. I'm loving it, though. It's going to be a lot of fun to build up excitement. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Cam Ward to Tennessee seems like a given at number 1. Do you think the Travis Hunter to Cleveland is number 2, also a given?
I do. And then I think it has this ripple effect where Abdul Carter is just too good that he's probably a lock at number 3. I've been telling people it feels like the draft starts at 4 with the New England Patriots. And that has a true feel because New England can, and I think they will try to move around the board maybe a little bit. They can take a player on both sides of the ball, whether it be Mason Graham on the defensive line, whether it would be an offensive lineman to help out Drake May and Will Campbell, Armand Membu. But once again, that's where the phones might actually start getting picked up as well. So it feels like this draft now starts at 4 when we get going on Thursday night.
How much of the Giants perhaps passing on a quarterback at number 3 is because the quarterback that they want isn't worthy of the number 3 slot versus just how great Abdul Carter potentially is?
I think that's a perfect way to encapsulate it. I think now if there was a quarterback that was 80% of the talent of Abdul Carter just as a player, you have to take the quarterback. This is a regime that you could have made an easy argument. It was kind of time, as much as I think everybody liked the hires of Brian Dable and Joe Shane. It has faltered recently. It might have been time to move on. Now they're operating as desperate men. That's why you build a quarterback room with whatever's left of Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. And I think the fact is that this is a quarterback class where they might be more comfortable going back from 34 into the end of round 1 and taking is Shedeur Sanders there. We know they're having a very last-minute workout with him, which is really interesting. Jackson Dart. When does the Jalen Milroe conversation begin? Tyler Shuck from Louisville, who I don't think is in the bracket of those 3 guys, but I think is going to go earlier than people expect. So I think the Giants would have gladly loved to have a quarterback that was worth the third overall pick. You can't manufacture a quarterback class. When Tennessee decided to not move out of number 1, take Cam Ward, it kind of put the Giants in a really, really tough spot, and they're going to have to get a little bit more creative.
What happened to Shedeur throughout the entire regular season? We had assumed that he was going to be the number 2 pick in the draft. That obviously has now seems to be highly unlikely. What happened there?
I think there's a couple variables. One, from a scouting perspective, it is very different. Shedeur is not a very big quarterback, height or density. He doesn't have a big arm. He's not very fast. I think he does a lot of things well at the position. He throws with touch. He's accurate. There are habits, and the offensive line struggled his 2 years at Colorado, but there are also a lot of examples on tape of him holding on to the football and taking bad sacks. And sack rate is something that typically transitions poorly from college to the NFL level. Guys that take a lot of bad sacks in college typically take a lot of bad sacks at the NFL. The edge rushers only get faster. The interior defensive linemen get stronger. And this is a trend that's going year after year. And when you don't have top end speed, there's more of a scrambler to create some more space, not a runner. It's a pretty tough position to be put in. So Shedeur doesn't have the ceiling that a lot of typical top 5, top 10 picks do at the position. I think teams look at him as more of a floor player, a starter that you can win with, not a starter that's always going to drag you to wins. So that's how the league kind of fell to a consensus on him, where I don't think he's going to be a top 10 pick. The Saints at 9 are in play with this Derek Carr news of injury, but he's just far from a lock of going in those top 10 picks now.
More likely that he's 15 to 20, or do we see him at the end of the first round?
I think there's a good chance it's the end of the first round. Everybody's got their eyes on the Steelers at 21. I think the Steelers have been locked in on Aaron Rodgers and then upgrading their roster with that 21st overall pick. They don't have that second rounder now, so there's a big gap from when they draft again, which means they need to get talent for this roster, assuming they're going to get Rodgers. So they feel like they can win now. So it kind of opens the door. The Vikings don't have a lot of picks in this draft. At 24, do they answer the phone and say, hey, you want to come back in for Shedeur Sanders? Come get him. So that's going to be a really interesting spot. I would bet Shedeur, though, is waiting around a little bit, and then at the end of round 1, somebody comes in to take him, and then you get the 5th-year option for the quarterback, which teams love to have.
Conor Rodgers is our guest, breaking down this upcoming NFL draft. And Ashton Jeanty is such a fascinating prospect because maybe in yesteryear, a running back would go real high. And then it seemed as though, well, teams were going to move off that idea. And then last year was the year of the running back. And we saw all these guys have career years. So are we now back to GMs valuing a dynamic running back enough to where Ashton Jeanty goes higher than maybe he would have a couple of years ago?
I think we are, because teams are learning the hard way that if you can't run the football in this league, then you typically can't pass in this league. There's just so many adjustments being made that they go hand in hand with each other that we're away from half a decade ago, that you can go pass crazy and pass happy, and the run game just might not matter as much. So you look at how some of the teams that went really, even the Bills have Josh Allen. The Bills have made such an effort to build their offensive line and run the ball, not only with James Cook, but 3 different running backs, and Josh Allen's designed runs as well, because of what it opens up for your passing game too. And Genty is scheme-proof and fail-proof. And that's a dangerous thing to say about a young player, but this is somebody that forced 152 missed tackles in college this season. A good season for a running back is 70. A really good season is 70. He's able to double that on his own. He has the best balance I've ever seen at the position coming out of college. I see 300-pound defenders fall off of him all the time. You turn on the Oregon tape. I mean, that was a really talented defense with NFL players at all 3 levels, and this guy is just making them look foolish. He's a special player. He's good in pass protection. He's got good hands. He is a great, great person, hardworking, all about the team. You get a pro from day one, and honestly, I think he'll be a top 3 running back within 2 years that you could build your entire offense around. I think with Genty, the conversation starts at 4 and 5 with the Patriots in Jacksonville, but realistically lands somewhere like 6 for the Raiders or 10 for the Bears.
Okay, so the Raiders, you think, go with a running back in Genty over a quarterback that might be available like Shedeur?
Yeah, I think they really like Geno. They're happy to roll with Geno. Pete Carroll is obviously on the end here of his NFL coaching longevity. It's good to see him get another opportunity, but Pete wants to win now. I don't think he wants to develop a quarterback. He wants to get a piece for this team, whether it's Genty for their run game, and Pete Carroll loves to run the football, Mason Graham for their defensive line. They need another corner in that secondary, but I don't know if they're comfortable with Will Johnson at 6. That might be just a little early for him. So, yeah, the Raiders, they believe they can win now, and I think they'll take a win now piece in the top 10.
One of the things that I love that you do is the player comps. And there's a lot of people that spit out player comps, but they're usually kind of, I think, they're tough for me to get to because they're dangerous, historic comps, always a dynamic player, not always realistic. I don't think you reach with your player comps. Let's do a few of those. Speaking of Genty, who's a running back that you can see him as a comp to?
Yeah, play style that we have not seen in a while. And obviously this player had a tough exit from the league, but it's Ray Rice to me in terms of, you just watch Ray Rice coming out of Rutgers, that low to the ground style, constantly having defenders fall off of him. There's not a lot of running backs that are that dense and at that size, a shorter player where they run with such low to the ground leverage. That was the name that, came to me right away. Some people like Maurice Jones-Drew. I wasn't there yet with Genty. Obviously Ray Rice, his early years with the Ravens, had some out of this world production in terms of both as a receiver and a runner, and just the way he was able to have tacklers fall off of him. I think Genty's play style is very similar to the prospect Rice was coming out of Rutgers.
Cam Ward?
This is a tougher one. I've talked to some people about this that bring up a throwback name like a Steve McNair. It's hard to land on one for Cam. I think that when you look at the low end comp, it's Tyrod's best seasons where Tyrod did such a good job extending plays, throwing the ball down the field, making plays on the run. But Cam's got more juice in his arm. He can alter the arm angles. He can rip the ball into tight windows. He's not a runner, but a scrambler that can kind of reset the pocket, move the pocket. He is very, very tough. He is a great leader. It's a really, really tough one to land on for Cam. So the highest end of Tyrod Taylor, but I think he's going to be a better player than that.
Let's talk about Travis Hunter. In terms of a comp, do you prefer going with a corner comp or a wide receiver comp?
I have a wide receiver one that I love, and this is the richest one I wrote out for, I would say, the 100 comps I'll end up doing. I published about 18 of them for NBC today. Ocho Cinco, Chad Johnson as a wide receiver. And it is dangerous when you compare a guy that had 7 seasons topping 1,000 yards receiving. Number one, Hunter is that kind of talent at the position. These guys are slender. They have enough height. They are twitchy, not fast. They're not always looking to run over the top of you. A lot of people forget Ocho wasn't a 4.3, 4.4 pre-draft kind of guy. Hunter didn't run. I don't think he would have ran in the 4.3s or the 4.4s. I don't think it matters. I think the agility is off the charts. The route running is dangerous, and they got ball skills. They don't need to be 6'4" to take away the football, win the ball in the air. Feels like they hang in the air forever. I see Travis Hunter as that Chad Johnson Bengals version.
And Abdul Carter?
Yeah, so this one to me is kind of ironic because he's probably going to the Giants, and he reminds me of a player that plays for the Giants and Brian Burns. They're 250-pound edge rushers that they win the exact same way. It's speed off the edge. How much can I set you up with that ability off the ball, off the edge? Then you start to set too wide. Okay, now I can hit you with a spin move inside, or I can cross your face. They play bigger than their 250-pound weight. A lot of the great edge rushers in the NFL can play closer to 260. It doesn't matter for these guys. And the last thing is you just look at the closing speed. There's a difference between disruptors and play finishers. These guys are play finishers. They don't just disrupt the quarterback. Their closing speed and pursuit speed is elite. You got to remember Burns ran a 96 percentile 40-yard dash. If Carter was healthy and tested, he would have done the same thing. He would have been a 4.5-ish, mid 4.5s kind of guy. They know how to finish plays and sack the quarterback. Sacks get you paid at the next level.
See, I love this. We're not talking about, he's LT, he's Michael Strahan. He's Brian Burns. That feels like a very realistic comp, which is why I love when you do these comps. I'm like, I can see those. Let me ask you about the next quarterback selected after Shedeur. First of all, do you think Jackson Dart could go before Shedeur? If not, do you think Jackson's the third QB off the board?
Nothing ever surprises me with quarterbacks in this league anymore. I wasn't even surprised when Michael Penix went when he did last year because teams and coaches look at quarterbacks in such unique ways in comparison to each other, what they like, what they prefer for their scheme, their rules. Does a guy have to be a multi-year starter? Does he have to check the adversity box? I think ultimately Dart will be the third quarterback taken. Shedeur will go. Now, where does that say the Giants really do come back in for Shedeur? Do the Browns at the top of the second round, are they comfortable with Jackson Dart? Does he wait a little bit longer? Now, Jalen Milroe is the ultimate wild card in this draft because Jalen Milroe has physical gifts that nobody else in this draft has, and that's speed. He's got enough arm talent. He's got inconsistencies that'll drive you crazy, especially in the red zone. Just mistakes, turnovers, the lack of accuracy at times, pushing the ball down the field. But, man, the mental makeup and the speed is really, really special where I think he goes earlier than where people expect. I would think Shedeur, Jackson Dart, and Milroe all end up as top 45 picks. It feels like it's the return of the second-round quarterback where for a long time it's been you go in the first round or you sit there and wait a really, really long time outside of Will Levis that did go somewhere in the middle, I believe 37th overall. These guys are true developmental stash on your roster and wait quarterbacks.
You do a fantastic job on Jets pre and post game. And so let's target the Jets right now. Who do you predict the Jets are taking with that first round pick?
I think Armand Membu at 7, who I view as the top tackle in the draft. He played right tackle for Missouri. I think Will Campbell is more of a guard. He can go in front of the Jets anyway. Now, if Membu went at 4 to New England, would Campbell be in play for the Jets? If they think he's a tackle, there's nobody with that wingspan playing tackle in the NFL right now, so he'd be a massive outlier, and not a lot of scouts and coaches bet on outliers with top 10 selections. But I think it'll be Membu. Aaron Glenn saw what happened to Detroit when they got there. They were a bad football team. How did they turn things around? It started with the offensive line. I think he's going to look at that with the Jets that have a glaring hole at right tackle. Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State's in play if they feel like they could find that right tackle on day 2 instead. But Membu should be the favorite at the moment.
You got a comp on Membu?
I don't right now. It's kind of interesting. You don't see a lot of right tackles that are about 335 pounds that are a little more squatty. He's not 6'6". He's not 6'5". He's a real 6'4". He's got long enough arms, but he's so springy in his lower half. He was actually a guard recruit coming out of high school. Usually it goes the other way. You're a tackle recruit. You get to college. They kick you inside to guard or center. Not a lot of guys go the reverse route. So he's a very, very unique player.
And as a diehard Mets fan, I listen to your pod often on the Mets. And so I want to ask you to wrap up this question. Is it a net positive that the Mets are doing as well as they are without a hot Juan Soto April? Or is it a little of a concern that he is a little, I don't know, a little critical or not as confident because he's not hitting alongside Aaron Judge this season?
I'll call it a slight net positive. And before I go there, I lied. My comp for Membu was Christian Darrisaw of the Vikings. Sometimes you got to go through the 800-page spreadsheet.
Yeah, I don't blame you. You got 800 pages.
And search real quick there. Christian Darrisaw, who's been marvelous for the Vikings before he got hurt last year. I'll call it a slight net positive with Soto. I think there's a couple things here. We've seen him struggle or start off slow in new places before. The Padres, when he got there, it was a little bit of a lack of comfort, and it took some time. And then things really, really turned the corner. And not in the first half of the season he was there, but it was that second actual full season for him. I think he looks miserable in the cold. And I think for the Mets, the fact is his slumping, he still gets on base. That's what's crazy and Pete Alonso is driving him in. He's the only guy in the Mets lineup really hitting with runners in scoring position right now. But I don't think the Mets pitching is sustainable right now. It'll be really good this year, especially the bullpen they built. But the starting pitching, this is not sustainable. But on the flip end of it, it's not sustainable that Juan Soto and Mark Vientos and Brandon Nimmo just don't hit all year long. You are what the back of your baseball card says you are. The law averages will get those guys right. I think the Mets will be in a really, really good place.
The Mets pod for SNY is fantastic. You fellow Mets diehards like myself, check it out. Connor's fantastic on it. But also Draft Nicks, Draft Heads, NFL Nerds right now. You got to check out Connor's coverage of this upcoming NFL draft. As he said, he's got comps coming just about every single day up until the draft, which I think really helps put into focus, put into perspective the types of guys that are going to be drafted. It's a lot more helpful than just kind of going through the first 3 highlights you might see on YouTube. It gives you some context of who these types of guys are. So check it out on Twitter. He's got all of that coming through at Conor R. Rodgers. And that's Rogers for NBC Sports, NBCSports.com, as well as a great place for the catch-all of Connor's coverage. Man, this was fantastic. I appreciate it so much. Keep up the awesome work. We're always keeping an eye on you over here, man. Thank you so much.
DA, it was a blast talking to you, man. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Conor Rodgers joining us here on the show. Gotta love it. Great job. Like to see that. Obviously, he's a fantastic player or a fantastic talent, and we have him, boom, on the show. You gotta love it. And boom, look at me. It's Easter time, is it not, everybody? I mean, you knew we were going to have to get down and dirty on a night where there is no Aiden Hatton. So we're kind of like right now just putting it together, meat and potatoes like. We're just kind of stringing the drive together, a few 3-4 yard gains, just kind of stringing out, the field position game here. And happy Easter to everybody. And I think that is a perfect place to talk about the Bob's Bar Show, everybody. That's right. The Bob's Bar Show is coming on Sunday, June the 8th. I am so fired up. Costumes galore. We are going to have special guests. We're going to have music. We're going to have a grand old time. We are going to do it big coming up here on Sunday, June the 8th. This week, if you're following me on social media, you might have noticed we've got ongoing daily memes for Bob's Bar. This is a South Park-inspired Bob's Bar. That's Mraz there, standing in front of Bob's Bar. Not bad. It's amazing what AI can do for you, and what is great is that Cap is all over it. I created this one because it was 50 days, or shall I say 50 days out from Bob's Bar. That was yesterday. Today it's 49, and that's 50 at Bob's Bar, or something akin to it, eating an ice cream cone. I think we're going to have the ice cream truck guy come by as well. That's right. Ice cream truck guy should be there. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have food. We're going to have drinks. We're going to have Bob. We're going to have ice cream. We're going to have music. We're going to have Mraz. I reached out to Pat Boyle this week. I'm so proud of this guy. He ends up getting named the overnight host of Infinity Sports Radio, my old home, when it was CBS Sports Radio. Many of you might remember listening to me on the overnights. And then Amy Lawrence took it over, did a great job for a decade there. Amy left. In fact, she came over to Mad Dog Sports Radio. She now does weekend work and evening work on my Channel 82, Mad Dog Sports Radio. And Pat Boyle was named this week as the full-time overnight host. I could not be more proud of the guy. He's going to absolutely crush it. And I reached out to him about Bob's Bar. He's going to try to show up as well. I said, we might have to do another oil boil. He's like, whatever you need, DA, I'm always game for it. I said, I know, that's why I love you, brother. I think he's going to be great as the overnight host. I think it's going to be great for him to finally have his own full-time show. He's never had his name on a show. So you got to love the potential of Pat Boyle. Gelb reached out to me. Zach Gelb, who parked cars at Bob's Bar 3. I said, can you make it? He goes, absolutely. I go, you're in. Now, we haven't negotiated whether Zach is going to park your car or not, but the fact that Gelb is in, amazing. So it's very funny because if you heard me talk about this last week when we announced Sunday, June 8th, and I've been talking about that date for about a month now, the only reason we had to kind of delay whether we were going to definitely do it July the 8th was because Bob, Mraz's dad, had knee replacement surgery. So Nancy was understandably a little nervous about Bob's rehabilitation, getting back on his feet for June. So they couldn't commit to that date specifically. But I talked to Upside Down Mike a week and a half ago. You guys know him if you listen to Mad Dog Sports Radio as Mike in New York. Back on CBS Sports Radio is Upside Down Mike. And Mike lives just down the block from Mraz. I said, hey, worst case scenario, Bob's still not on his feet fully on June 8th. Could we have it at your place? He goes, dude, absolutely. He goes, I got a big backyard. He's like, I've done outdoor parties before for Eagles games. He's like, I got an outdoor TV. I got the whole setup. He's like, no problem. I said, that's amazing. So that's the way it's going to go. Either Bob's, or if Bob's not good enough, we're going to go down the block to Upside Down Mike's. Well, Nancy, Mraz's mom, has seen me just light up social media with all the promotion, and she's so nervous. And she's like, what happens if the party gets moved, but people still show up here? And Mraz has had to talk her down off the ledge. Like, don't worry. If the party is at Upside Down Mike's, people will go to Mike's. Do not worry. So she's like, yeah, but what happens if Gordon in Vancouver just comes here? Mraz is like, believe me, Gordon will go to the right place. Don't worry. But so this is what she's worried about. The moist pork's just going to show up unannounced, and the party's going to be down the block. Don't worry. Everybody will know the official address. And if you do show up to Bob's Bar and Nancy's inside with the curtains drawn, you just knock on the door. She'll come to the door, and maybe there'll even be a sign on the door, hey, party moved down the block. Or Nancy can just say, 3 doors down to the right or whatever. Hysterical. So she's all nervous about this. I said, tell Nancy, we love her to death. That will not be a problem. So that's the way this thing's going to go. I'm so excited. I just talked to my mom today. I saw her for church and Easter, and she goes, I think this is going to be your best Bob's Bar yet. I said, really? She goes, I just got a feeling. She goes, you're going to have a famous player show up. I go, am I going to book it? She goes, I just got the feeling somebody famous is going to show up. I'm like, all right, Mom. Mama Amendo, cheerleading for Bob's Bar. I'm so excited. So there you go. I mean, does it get any better than this? I think it's the perfect time of year. It's going to be early June, so it's going to be warm, but not too hot. It won't be too muggy. If you want to go to the beach before or after, Mraz's house, not far from it, so there's time to do that. If you want to make a little Long Island vacation out of it, you can do that. Fly into any of the 3 airports, Newark, LaGuardia, or JFK. LaGuardia and JFK will probably be a little bit easier if you're flying in, simply because those are technically on the island or close to the island, whereas Newark is in New Jersey, so you have to cross the Hudson River to get to New York. So that's a little bit of a problem because, of course, you're talking about trains and tunnels or bridges, etc. JFK is southern Queens, and it has an AirTran, which is like a tram to the Long Island Railroad, and the Long Island Railroad, which is a train, will take you right to West Babylon, where we're having it. So JFK is an easy one for you. But if you fly into LaGuardia, not a problem. There's a shuttle bus that can take you to the subway. And then it's just 2 stops or a couple different stops you just had to get if you wanted to get out on Long Island where we're going to have the party. But, there's Ubers, there's cabs, there's rental cars. It's like there are plenty of options. And connect with people that are here in the chat. Connect with people, other D-aliens that are going, and be like, hey, coordinate when you coming in. If anybody's coming in my time, let's carpool. Let's get out there together. So it's going to be just fantastic. I'm so super excited. And if you're trying to work your plans in there, I can guarantee you I will make it worth your while. I'm going to spend time with everybody there. I'm so appreciative if you make the trip to show up. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to have music. and you're just going to meet amazing people. We live in a world where if you live on social media or live online, everybody's always at each other's throats, and it's so exhausting and it's so aggravating, and it makes you feel bad all the time. And I can just tell you that the D-aliens, everybody's awesome. And I don't say that like flippantly, really. When I've gone to Baltimore to Camden Yards for a little Mo game, when I've gone to Boise for Broncos Boise State football games, when we've had Bob's Bar before, when I go to Baltimore for the Ed Block Courage Awards, if I go anywhere around the country for a game or just an event or something like that. Las Vegas, we were at Super Bowl Radio Row 2 years ago. This year, when we were at Radio Row as well, was phenomenal. I got to meet listeners, and you just see, like, the quality of people that we have here. If you're chatting alongside the other D-aliens in this chat right now, you feel it, you vibe it. Just really positive, good people. So it's going to be, if you feel a little alone because social media is aggressive, because the world is always seemingly tumultuous, because the news cycle is always dramatic, come to Bob's Bar. I'm telling you, it's just a feel-good group of people. And I personally cannot wait. You might meet Mama Amendo, too. She's like, I might come. I said, God bless, Ma. Come by. You'd be a celebrity. Everybody would love to see you. So June 8th, Sunday, June 8th. People have asked me the start time. We're going to start it at noon kickoff, but show up whenever. We'll be noon until the nighttime. So you can show up whenever, but I think we're going to start the proceedings at noon. So consider that as it were. You might want to come in on, Saturday, stay all day Sunday, and then maybe stay over Sunday night if you're flying or it's a long drive. You can choose one or the other. Maybe you stay over Saturday night to get up early for Bob's Bar, and then you leave. Maybe you stay late if you had a few pops or something like that. But there's going to be plenty of great people, and I think you guys will all have an absolute banner time. I know I am fired up about it. I wanted to say this about LeBron and the Los Angeles Lakers. And the only way we can do this is if I actually have our lower third, so it really looks official, as I have this bunny costume on. Let's see. I'm going to find it right now for you. Let's see. Stay with me. Oh, here we go. Okay. Boom. Playoffs! LeBron James has Luka Doncic, a cornerstone player that was in the NBA Finals like 10 months ago. They pulled off an incredibly fortuitous trade and only gave up Anthony Davis, who's already sitting at home, along with the rest of the Dallas Mavericks. The fact that the Lakers looked that slow against the T-Wolves in Game 1, the fact that the Lakers looked at times disengaged, the fact that the Lakers seem frustrated, including LeBron, is a bad sign. They should start off with a bounce, with a jump. Getting Luka onto that team, into that organization, should give that entire roster an extra rocket booster on their back to really make this postseason special. This is a wide open Western Conference, and I know the Thunder looked amazing in Game 1, hammering the Grizzlies. That's not going to show us whether the Grizzlies or whether the Thunder are an NBA Finals caliber team. You've got a young Thunder team at the 1 seed, a young Rockets team at the 2 seed. You're the 3 taking on a T-Wolves squad that struggled and scuffled the entire season. I don't want to hear excuses from LeBron and the Lakers. I don't want to see disengaged playoff basketball. I don't want to see going through the motions. I don't want to see being a defensive liability, Luka. I don't want to see an angry, frustrated LeBron James after the first 48 minutes of the playoffs. I want to see them seize the moment, okay? And they looked like they were a slow and old and out of sorts team in Game 1, and that's a problem. There's plenty of basketball to go. The T-Wolves obviously are not unbeatable. You still have, multiple home games, assuming you don't get swept. But Game 1, you already punted away home court advantage. And you did so by playing a lackadaisical C to C+ effort. turn it around, turn it up, because that was a problematic and at times very scary looking Lakers effort. I mean, these ears, there's something else, really. Okay, I want to get to some comments here because you know what? We always love the Q&DA part of Watch D.A. Live. And, here's Robbie saying, it takes a real man to dress up as the Easter Bunny. This costume has been with us through thick and thin, has it not? This costume was actually my Easter costume during pandemic 5 years ago. You might remember during pandemic, we were all doing home shows. And so that Easter, I wasn't able to see anybody. That was 2 months into the pandemic, less. So you don't see anybody. You don't see your friends. You don't see your family. You don't see your coworkers. I think I did see my family. But either way, 6 feet social distancing, that whole jazz. I'm like, you know what? We got to have some fun here. Let's put a smile on people's face. Let's remember that, there's always something to laugh at, including the Easter Bunny costume. So that's when this was originated. After that, in 2021 and 2022, this was the costume for the Death by Salsa Bracket Challenge. I had to wear it, and so did Bogues, Andrew Bogish. We both had to wear it as we ate Death by Salsa with peeps. So this has been part of some amazing show moments, and now we dust it off again because, as Randy knows, the Wabbit knows. Wascally Wabbit. Wallace says, I love the banter and good nature, bee busting that we have here on the show. And that's what it's all about. And Wallace came to the office party that we held for the DA show with Babchick on Mad Dog Sports Radio back in December. And you know what? He saw it. It's just like, no matter who you meet, it's like smiles. Can I buy you a beer? What can I get you? Where you're from? Just good people that I've had the great fortune of being attracted to the show. And you know what? I just think, you hold on to that tight and you take advantage of it because you don't know. You don't know how long we're all on this flying rock through outer space. So take advantage of it, right? Be around good people as much as possible. Stephen Murray, who's our voice guy around here, says, is anybody living from the Albany, New York area? He's going to pay for gas and then some. Ha ha. I think Justin in Albany, who's most famous for the keychains that he has made us and bottle openers, I think Justin is going to be coming. He reached out to me on DM on Instagram this week. So, Steven, check with Justin. I bet you guys can come on down together. Drunkle Sam says the vest makes the bunny on the Easter Bunny. Doesn't it though? This thing is all types of ridiculous. And it's like the best money I ever spent. Think about how much run we get out of this freaking costume, right? I mean, this has been part of some absolutely incredible moments here on the show. It has been quite the day. I went to Citi Field last night for the Mets game. Actually, it was yesterday afternoon, my first game of the season. And I have this mini season ticket package, 20 games. And, last year, AJ was 1, so I think I might have got to 2 games last year. And the summer before, he had just been born on Memorial Day, or around Memorial Day. He was born in late May. And I didn't go to any games. So the fact that I got to an April game and it was 78 degrees, man, did I have myself a good time. I don't know if you guys have been to the ballpark yet this summer. We have had a lot of miserable weather around here this winter. It has been cold and rainy up until the end of this week. It was cold and rainy on Wednesday, I think, and then Thursday started to turn, and then Friday was beautiful. Saturday was hot. I was like, oh, my God, I forgot how great the ballpark is. And I went with my brother and my sister, and I turned to them and I said, isn't this great? Like every 10 minutes. They go, we get it, Dame. We know. I go, but isn't this great? Isn't this great? Feel the sun. Watch the baseball. Look at how green the grass is. Can I have another Coors Light? I mean, it was everything. It was spectacular. Pete Alonso hits a home run. They shut out the Cardinals 3-0. I was in all my glory. So I just can't wait for a summer at the ballpark. As long as I can get out there, I am going to try to get out there. Although easier said than done when it comes to having a 2-year-old. Steven also says, solo DA means extra cool hair DA. That's right. You know, the the hair underneath here has been getting a little out of control. Time for a trim. Time for a shape up, I think, this week. That's no doubt. And as I was trying to get everything set up earlier in the show, there was about a 10, 15-minute delay before we got going here tonight. I was actually on the phone with Aiden. He's spending Easter dinner with his family, which is totally cool. So I'm like, hey, can you just walk me through a few of these? I'm like, how do I play the Conor Rodgers interview the way that I want to? You heard in there I said Soto went yard yesterday, so we taped that earlier in the week when Soto actually had a home run. He didn't get booed yesterday, which he shouldn't be booed yet. I mean, I always think that's kind of insane, but I'm not worried about it. Kristen in Buffalo, happy Easter, bunny and chocolate day. That is right. I have not had any chocolate. I hate Peeps. Haven't had any chocolate yet. I've had nothing Easter related to eat. So I think tonight I'm going to have to dig into whatever AJ has in that Easter basket that he brought home from his grandma's house. I'm like, I got to see what's going on in there. I'm going to get into that. Let's see. Looking through the comments here tonight, and it's always good to hear from all the familiar faces, but also the new faces as well. I love seeing, I mean, how about Psych Mamter, which of course is a reference on Mike Samter, which is the executive producer of multiple shows over at CBS Sports Radio throughout the years. Psych Mamter. I mean, that is as deep a cut as you're going to get. Shador rates only 3 crows on the Torg Bellinger draft board. A little lemon zest. I wonder what Torg Bellinger is doing these days. A little lemon zest. Well, when your neighbor's burning, if you're not burning, you go over there and, if your neighbor's burning, that's when they're burning. Psych Mamter, nice job with the Torg Bellinger reference. I want to give you a Last Dive Bar t-shirt. So make sure you hit me up and let me know. Unless you want to stay anonymous, then you're not going to get your t-shirt. You have to then come to the Bob's Bar Show, which, by the way, I'm going to have Last Dive Bar gear at the Bob's Bar Show. So show up, get cool gear. In fact, we're going to have some DA show gear as well. Watch D.A. live gear that we're going to have also available for purchase because we're going to be busting open this merch store here shortly. So there you go. That's another reason that you're going to want to come by. Wallace says, I have a pretty high density rating myself. At least that's what my mom always said to me. Man, this is heavy. High density. I like that. And there you go. Excellent costume. Those ears need a fluff. Don't they really? Right? I mean, just come on. Here comes D.A. Cottontail bouncing up the Easter Bunny Trail. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Everybody, I want to make sure that you guys all come together and are one with the channel, but also one with one another. It's just it's such a cool place to be around all you guys, and I hope that you can make it to Bob's Bar coming up here in, what is it now, 49 days. So that's like 6.5 weeks or so. It is going to be phenomenal, Bob's Bar. And, of course, the coolest thing is the show, we're going to be airing the show from there. We're going to do a live YouTube Watch D.A. live show from there. So you're going to be able to, if you can't make it, watch it as well. But we would rather have you there in person. But if you come, you'll be able to have a collection of memories from it because this will always be archived on YouTube, right? So that's going to be freaking phenomenal also. Absolutely freaking phenomenal. Couple of thoughts just on making our way through the summer. If you guys have some Exhale cocktails, it's happening now. Send them to me, and we'll present those on the show also. Feeling the warm weather come around is like right now. We're turning the corner here. So the Exhale cocktails coming back. We'll also have comedians coming up on the show. Watch D.A. live, so stick around for that. And as always, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That way you get notified when we go live or when there's new DA deep dives. And I've got a whole host of NFL draft coverage coming this week to the channel. If you want instantaneous reaction and don't want to wait until I'm on the air on Friday morning, okay, for the SiriusXM show, be right here on YouTube because I will be putting out clips and videos as I'm reacting to round 1 of the NFL draft. And then since I won't be on Saturday morning, obviously, round 2 that we'll get to on Friday night, round 2 and round 3, I'll also be posting videos here as well. So you'll get instant reaction of the big picks, the big news items, what we need to be going over for the NFL draft. Make sure you are subscribed right here to YouTube. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. I'll let you get back to the family on an Easter. It's been a great night. Hopefully you guys enjoyed Conor Rodgers. I thought he was phenomenal. For everybody that's out there that likes the show, that appreciates the show, that appreciates each other, we love you back. Thanks so much. Happy Easter. Happy Passover. Happy holidays. And I will see you tomorrow morning on the DA Show with Babchick on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82. A reminder to keep track of Last Dive Bar goodies because you know what? You get 15% off if you use our code Mothership, right? Remember that. Code Mothership for 15% off. And there you go. I think we're good. I don't know. Uh-oh. Something froze. That's not great. This is bad. I guess we'll be signing off now. Ay, ay, ay. Look at that. Look at that. I don't know. There I am. I'm back. I'm back. Oh boy. Everything froze there for a second. We're still here. Technical difficulties. Oh no. Oh no. we got the Donna Jean. Let's see. Okay, here we go. We're back. See, without Aiden, this show goes to hell in a handbasket real quick. Am I right? I mean, holy moly. What I want to do is play the close, but can I even do that? I don't even know if I can. Oh, yeah, I can't do that. All right. Last Dive Bar, 15% off. Use code Mothership. That just basically takes off tax and shipping. So you basically get it for free shipping if you just use our code Mothership in their Last Dive Bar website at lastdivebar.com. All right, everybody. Have a great Easter. I'll see you tomorrow morning on SiriusXM.